Jack Carter was just a supply technician. Nothing special. No medals, no command. Just a human man sent to an alien planet called Varela 6. To fix a broken water system and deliver food packs to the natives, he wasn't ready for what happened. Next, it began when the alien priestess Stahl, with glowing blue eyes and silver tattoos, approached him outside the tribal camp. Her voice was soft, but her words carried weight. "You've been chosen," she said. Jack blinked. Chosen for what? For the sacred joining ceremony. You accepted the offering, did you not? Jack scratched his head. You mean that bowl of soup earlier? Yeah, I thought it was lunch. The priestess smiled, but not kindly. Then it is done. You will represent your kind. Before Jack could argue, 2 strong alien guards grabbed him by the arms and pulled him toward the central gathering ground. Drums started to beat in the distance. Fire pits lit up. The entire tribe, hundreds of tall, muscular aliens with red skin and glowing scars, gathered around a wide circle in the sand. A huge throne stood at the edge. On it sat the matron queen, surrounded by dozens of alien females, each more beautiful and otherworldly than the last. Their eyes were fixed on Jack. What's going on? Jack whispered, trying to break free. An alien beside him, older, scarred, whispered in a low growl, You're the challenger now. You fight in the ritual. If you win, the females are yours. Jack's jaw dropped. Wait, what? I don't want if you lose, the alien added. You die. The drums grew louder. A booming voice echoed across the arena. The queen stood and lifted a hand. Let the trial of claiming begin. The crowd roared. Warriors stomped the ground. Female aliens cheered from the throne, and Jack stood in the center, alone and completely confused. I'm not a fighter, he shouted, but nobody listened. Suddenly, a huge alien warrior stepped forward, muscles bulging, holding a curved blade made from bone. He pointed it at Jack's chest and let out a deep growl. Jack looked down. He had no weapon, just a small metal wrench still hanging on his tool belt. He pulled it out. Well, I guess we're doing this the stupid way, the alien charged. Jack ducked. The bone blade sliced through the air where his head had been. Dust flew up. Jack rolled to the side and scrambled to his feet. He had no plan, no armor, no training, but he had one thing, instinct. As the alien turned to strike again, Jack threw the wrench hard straight into the warrior's face. It hit with a loud clunk, and the alien staggered backward, roaring in pain. Jack didn't wait. He ran forward and kicked the warrior's knee, making him fall. Then, without thinking, he grabbed a loose stick from the ground and smacked the warrior on the back of the head. Silence. Then the alien dropped to the ground. Moving, the crowd gasped. The drumming stopped. Even the queen's eyes widened. Jack stood there, panting, holding the stick like a baseball bat. Did I just win? Another warrior stepped forward. Oh, come on, Jack shouted. This one was slimmer, but faster. Moved with speed, spinning twin blades. Jack barely dodged the first slash and stumbled backward. He picked up the curved bone blade dropped by the first fighter and swung wildly. Somehow the sharp edge caught her leg. She hissed and dropped. One weapon. Jack kicked her in the stomach. She flew backward and collapsed. The arena was quiet again. The priestess walked forward, her voice now louder. 2 challenges passed. 1 more remains. Jack's heart was racing. Wait, there's another. The 3rd challenger was tall, armored, and emotionless. A champion. Even other aliens bowed as he stepped forward. Jack muttered, I'm so dead. But then something happened. Jack noticed the champion's armor was too tight. His movement was slow, stiff. Jack remembered a small trick he'd used back home, loosen the weak spot. As the champion raised his heavy weapon, Jack dived and slid under his legs, then grabbed the straps holding the armor. With a single yank, he pulled hard on the chest. Plate snapped open. Jack didn't stop. He grabbed a rock, climbed the warrior's back like a monkey, and bashed him on the head. The giant fell. The crowd roared. Female aliens screamed in excitement. The queen stood and clapped once. The humans won the ritual. Jack dropped the rock. What the hell just happened? The priestess smiled again. You have claimed the right of bonding now. You must choose your mates. Froze. Wait, what? Dozens of alien women stood up from the throne platform, and they were all looking at him, smiling, blushing, some already walking toward him. Jack took a step back. No, 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 no. No, this has to be a dream. Had only just begun. The arena still echoed with the sound of shocked gasps. Jack Carter stood frozen, a rock in one hand, dirt on his face, a crowd of alien females watching him like he was some kind of god. He didn't feel like a winner. He felt like someone who just tripped into victory by mistake. 3 massive warriors had fallen not because Jack was stronger, but because he was unpredictable. Slipping, ducking, throwing tools, climbing backs. It wasn't fighting, it was survival. Is it over? Jack asked the priestess beside him. Her lips curled in a strange smile. It has only just begun. Before Jack could respond, the queen herself raised a silver staff. Her voice boomed across the arena. The human has proven his strength. Now begins the second phase. What phase? Jack blinked. The challenge of worthiness, the priestess said. A test of your instincts, not just your muscles. Jack sighed. Of course, there's always another level. He was led to a new arena, this one darker, surrounded by glowing mushrooms and fog. Strange vines hung from alien trees, and the air smelled like electricity and spices. In the center stood for female. Warriors completely different from the muscle brutes before. These women were tall, sleek, and fast-looking. They wore tight armor and held strange curved staffs. Their faces were painted with blue markings, and they all had the same look in their eyes. Hunger Jack stepped forward, wiping sweat from his brow. Let me guess. I have to fight them too. No, the priestess said. They will hunt you. You must survive 10 minutes. Jack blinked. You're kidding. The horn sounded. He wasn't kidding. The 4 females leaped into motion, darting into the trees like shadows. Jack took off running, heart pounding, dodging vines and leaping over roots. I didn't sign up for alien hide-and-seek, he shouted into the fog. Behind him, he heard a soft wish his staff just missed his head. He ducked and rolled. Another swipe nearly hit his ankle. He ran faster, and then he realized something they were toying with him. Like hunters testing prey. Oh, hell no, he muttered. I may be dumb, but I'm not dinner. He stopped running, turned and picked up a thick vine from the ground. He tied it between 2 trees, low and tight. Then he threw a rock into the distance to draw them in. One of the huntresses sprinted straight at him, graceful, deadly, and unaware of the trap. She tripped the vine and flipped through the air like a rag doll, landing in the mud with a loud splat. The other 3 paused. Jack raised his hands. Okay, I'm done running. You want me? Come get me. They surrounded him silent, watching, then they charged, all 3 at once. Jack grabbed a stick and flung it at the face of one. It didn't do much, but it made her blink. It's just enough. Time to duck under her staff. The second huntress tried to kick him, but he caught her leg midair and spun her into the third. They both went tumbling. He climbed a low tree and leapt to a branch. Then another until he was above them. Time ticked on. 7 minutes 8. His arms ached. Sweat poured down his face. One of the females jumped onto his branch. Snarling, Jack kicked the branch at snap, and both of them fell. But Jack landed on her. 9 minutes. The horn blew again. 10 minutes survived. Jack laid in the mud, gasping, I hate alien rituals. The priestess returned, looking oddly. Impressed? You are unpredictable. Like a broken river. Is that good? For the females of our tribe, it is very good. She helped him up and guided him back to the main circle. The queen watched from her throne, and the 4 female warriors, covered in mud. Panting, stood silently beside her. The queen rose. He did not fight like us. He fought like chaos. The crowd laughed. The queen continued, Let it be known. The human is not just strong, he is cunning. And for that, his claim shall be honored. The priestess whispered beside Jack, They respect tricksters. It means your blood is clever. Their children will be clever too. Jack gulped. Wait, children. It. Queen stepped down, slowly, powerfully. Choose your first. From the 4 who hunted you? The 4 female warriors stood proudly despite their bruises. All stared at Jack. He backed away slightly. Can I think about it? The queen raised an eyebrow. Are you refusing a royal gift? Jack froze. No, I'm just surprised. One of the huntresses stepped forward. What he'd tripped. With the vine, she had mud on her face and a crooked smile. She knelt before him and whispered, I want your chaos in my bloodline. Jack looked at the crowd. They were all waiting. He sighed and raised his hand toward her. The crowd exploded. In cheers, he was now officially claimed. But in this tribe, that meant everything would change. Jack Carter didn't feel like a champion. He felt like a tired janitor who had somehow wandered into the finals of a galactic game show. He stood now at the edge of the Queen's Temple, a towering pyramid of obsidian stone and glowing red patterns carved into its walls. The air smelled like strange incense. Drums beat slowly in the background. Alien females watched from balconies above, whispering and giggling. Jack adjusted the silk robe they had thrown over him. It was barely a robe. It's more like a curtain with a hole for the head. And the worst part? He had no idea what was coming next. The priestess stood beside him, her expression unreadable. Now begins the binding. You have won the trial. You must accept your claim in full. Jack raised an eyebrow. Thought I already picked one. The priestess shook her head. It was only your first wife. The rest await. You must make the final blow, the one that seals your bond with the Queen's bloodline. Jack blinked. The Queen's what? Before he could process it, the drum stopped, and the Queen appeared. She wore armor that gleamed like lava stone, her body tall, strong, and terrifyingly elegant. But her eyes held something else, something ancient, something powerful. She stepped. Down slowly. Her step echoed like thunder. The crowd bowed. Jack didn't. He just stood there, wide-eyed, like a man watching a train come straight at him. The Queen stopped in front of him and raised her hand. A young alien woman was brought forward, carried in a golden chair by 4 armored guards. She looked like royalty's smooth skin, silver hair, delicate glowing markings on her neck. This, the Queen declared, is my daughter, the bloodline of flame. She will bear your heirs. The firstborn shall be your heir, and the next ruler. Of our people, Jack's jaw nearly fell off. Wait. What? The princess looked at Jack with wide violet eyes. She wasn't angry. She wasn't even embarrassed. She looked hopeful. Jack took a step back. I'm not ready for this. The Queen narrowed her eyes. You won the ritual. You passed the hunt. Out. You were chosen by my priestess. You cannot. Walk away now. Jack looked around. Hundreds of aliens stared at him. He thought of running, but then the princess stood on her own. She stepped forward and reached out, gently touched his chest with 2 fingers. Everyone gasped. Jack didn't understand, till a glowing mark appeared over his heart. A symbol that looked like a spiral flame. The priestess's voice cracked. In awe, the binding has begun. The claim has chosen him, not just by blood, but by the flame. The Queen was silent. For the first time. Even she looked surprised. Jack looked down at the glowing symbol on his chest. What the hell is this? The priestess whispered. It means you are now part of the flame line, not just a mate, not just a male, but a true consort of royal blood. Jack took a shaky step back. You've got the wrong guy. But the princess grabbed his hand, and suddenly, all around the arena, the other females began reacting. Some gasped, some clutched their chests, some began to glow. The mark was spreading. Every female whose eyes had met Jack's during the trials, everyone who had even smiled at him now, glowed faintly, the same spiral flame appearing on their necks, wrists, or stomachs. Jack's voice shook. What is happening? The Queen stepped forward again, her voice no longer angry. She was curious now. None of our warriors have awakened this mark before, not even the elders. Only a true flame bearer can do this. Human, are you even aware of what you are? Jack shook his head. I'm just a tech guy who likes coffee and quiet mornings. The queen turned to her people. The flame accepts him. She'll not only take my daughter, but any female who bears the flame mark. The crowd erupted, some in awe, some in chaos, some in jealousy. The priestess turned to Jack. You've started something impossible to stop. You may not want the throne, but the flame has made its choice. Jack looked at the princess. She smiled softly and placed her forehead against his. His body felt warm, too warm, and then he heard it, a voice inside his mind. Welcome, consort. Your blood now belongs to the flame. Your future is no longer your own. Jack's knees buckled. He didn't fall. The princess caught him and whispered, Don't be afraid, I've been waiting. For you. Jack Carter stood in the golden glow of the queen's temple, still shaking from the strange warmth pulsing through his chest. The spiral flame mark still glowed softly on his skin. He touched it with his fingers, hoping it would fade. It didn't across. The arena, dozens of alien females now had the same glowing symbol on their arms, necks, backs, even their thighs. They weren't screaming or running, no. They were lining up for him. One by one, they were tall and small, young and mature, strong and soft, with shimmering eyes and silent smiles. What? What are they doing? Jack whispered. Priestess beside him did not smile. She bowed her head with deep respect. They answer the call of the flame. Their bodies have responded. Their spirits now seek the bond. The bond? Jack stepped back. I'm not. This can't be real. But it was. The queen raised her staff high. Let the first bonding process begin. Let those marked by flame present themselves before the chosen consort. The crowd cheered. The ground trembled slightly beneath their voices, and the females stepped forward. The first was a warrior with burned scars on her arms. She looked like she'd never smiled in her life until now. She knelt in front of Jack, touched her forehead to his boot, and simply said, My blood awaits yours. Jack turned red from head to toe. The second was a gentle-looking alien with glowing teal hair and golden earrings. She blushed deeply and held a bundle of flowers. She pressed them into Jack's hands. I'm not strong like the others, but I dream of a child, with your eyes. Shh. Jack almost passed out. The third was the strangest. She was from the insectoid side of the tribe, part exoskeleton, part soft flesh. She chittered nervously but still stepped forward and placed a crystal orb in Jack's palm. The orb pulsed and her flame mark glowed even brighter. Jack turned to the priestess, almost desperate. Is there a way to turn this off? The priestess sighed. To reject a flame bond is to shame the soul of the female. Once claimed, they cannot bond with another. They will remain unchosen, forever. Jack's heart sank. He looked at the growing line of hopeful faces. Some were confident, some scared, some shaking, but all were looking only at him, not with lust, but with hope. This wasn't about pleasure. This was about purpose. The queen walked down from her throne and stood beside him now. Do you see it? Human? Our race is dying. The sacred bloodlines have failed to awaken for centuries. And then you arrived. You triggered the flame. You are no longer a visitor here. Jack's voice trembled. But I didn't choose this. You did, the queen said firmly. When you accepted our food, our trials, and faced our warriors, when you survived our hunt, the flame accepts only those who fight, protect, and sacrifice. Jack closed his eyes. I didn't want this. The queen leaned close and whispered, Yet they want you. He opened his eyes. The line of alien females was now stretching across the entire temple steps. Some held gifts, some brought carved family symbols, some were barehanded, but their glowing marks showed on their exposed skin. One, younger than the rest, stepped forward with trembling lips. She had tears in her eyes. I was born with a broken body, she whispered. My people said no male would ever take me. But you changed something in me. I feel the bond. Please don't reject me. Jack's hands clenched. He couldn't. Speak, so he did something simple. He reached out and touched her shoulder gently. Her flame mark glowed white. The priestess gasped. She's healed. Everyone turned. The girl stood taller. Her uneven posture straightened. Her limp vanished. Her eyes shone with surprise and joy. The queen stepped back, stunned. You're more than a consort. The priestess fell too. Her knees. You are a flame-bearer of old. The kind that only existed in the first era. Jack didn't understand, but the crowd did. They all began chanting, flame-bearer, flame-bearer. The girls in line dropped to their knees, bowing to him one by one. Even the queen's daughter, his first chosen, looked at him differently now. Not just as a mate, but as something sacred. Jack's mind swirled with noise, colors, emotion, and in the middle of it all, he whispered, "What am I becoming?" The priestess answered with calm truth, "Not just a father of our future. You are now our fire." Jack Carter had never felt more lost. He wasn't in a battlefield, but his heart raced like he was under fire. The queen's people were celebrating, chanting his name as flame-bearer, while dozens of glowing women bowed before him. He wasn't a hero. He wasn't even brave. He just wanted to go home. But now, he was their home. The night sky turned violet. Stars danced over the jungle temple as glowing lanterns floated into the air. Fires lit around the ceremonial garden. Music echoed through the valley, soft flutes, deep drums, and strange humming that made his skin tingle. A new ritual had begun. The binding. Night. He was escorted by 6 females each, with the flame symbol glowing gently on her body. They wore long veils of red silk and tiny bells on their wrists. They didn't speak, only looked at him with eyes full of quiet emotion. They led him into a sacred chamber, carved from crystal stone. The floor was soft moss. The walls shimmered, like starlight. Flowers filled the air with a warm, sweet scent. Jack whispered, "Am I supposed to do something?" "Royal." The priestess stood outside the chamber entrance. Her voice was calm. "Tonight, you do not fight. You do not prove. You simply receive. I'm not sure I'm ready for this." "You were chosen," she said. "And now, they come to you willingly." The priestess closed the crystal door behind her. Silence. Jack stood alone inside the chamber. Then soft footsteps. One of the girls stepped forward. She was the young one from earlier, the one he had healed just by touching. She looked up at him with nervous eyes. Her voice was a whisper. "Do you accept me?" Jack didn't know what to say. He nodded slowly. She stepped closer and reached out tonely to gently touch his flame mark on his chest. Her body began to glow softly. Her breathing deepened. Then, without a word, she bowed and stepped back. Eyes closed. Another stepped forward, the strong warrior with burn marks. She was shaking, not from fear, but from holding herself back. "I've fought for 10 years, she said. "I've never asked for anything, until now." Jack reached out and touched her hand. She gasped, then bit her lip and dropped too. Her knees, her body glowed from the inside, and Jack saw her tears fall not from pain, but release. The third approached silently, a scientist. Her eyes were golden. "You're changing something in us," she said softly. "Not just our bodies, but our hearts. We feel complete near you." Jack whispered, "But I'm just a human." She smiled. "Maybe that's what we needed all along." She kissed his cheek, the softest kiss he'd ever felt. She shivered as her mark grew brighter. Her moan was not loud, but it felt like it echoed through the chamber. One by one, they approached. One by one, he touched them. Some leaned their heads on his chest. Some placed his hand over their hearts. Some pressed against him gently, seeking warmth, closeness, not domination. There were no commands. No force, only connection. Real, deep, wordless connection. And with each touch, each soft cry, Jack felt himself changing too. He wasn't afraid anymore. These weren't just alien women. They were his people now. By the time the queen's daughter stepped forward, Ake was already glowing from within. His body pulsed with warm energy. His thoughts were sharp, calm, peaceful. She didn't speak. She just embraced him, and when she did, her body lit up like fire, and so did his. Their marks burned white gold. The room filled with light. Outside the temple, the tribe knelt as the stars above changed color, turning flame red for a moment. Then shimmering gold. The priestess whispered to herself, "He has accepted the binding. He is not just consort, not just mate. He is now one of us." The chamber Jack held the princess gently in his arms. Her breath was soft against his neck. The other bonded females lay in peaceful silence around them, glowing marks slowly fading into their skin. Jack whispered to no one, "I didn't come here to save a tribe. But maybe I was always meant to." Outside, the drums slowed. Inside, the moans faded into sighs, and Jack Carter closed his eyes, no longer alone. The morning sun rose over Varela 6. But Jack Carter didn't feel the warmth. He stood alone on the temple balcony, half-dressed in ceremonial cloth, the spiral flame still faintly glowing on his chest. Below him, the tribe was waking soft. Chants filled the air, and sacred smoke curled up from the fire pits. Inside the chamber, more than a dozen bonded females still rested peacefully, the marks on their bodies pulsing like sleeping stars. Jack stared at his shaking hands. He had touched them. Not just their skin, but something deeper. And they had changed. So had he. Behind him, the priestess stepped onto the balcony. She wasn't smiling this time. Her face was serious, almost afraid. "You feel it now, don't you?" she asked. Softly, Jack nodded. "Something's inside me. Moving, breathing. But it's not mine." She nodded. "It's ours." "Oh." "The flame doesn't just choose. It awakens." He turned to her. "What did I awaken?" She looked down, choosing her words carefully. "A prophecy. One older than the queen. Older than our bloodlines. It spoke of a male not of this world who would pass the trials, mark the chosen, and light the flame of rebirth." Jack's heart thudded. "I never wanted this. No one who truly deserves it ever does," she said. Before he could respond, a horn sounded in the distance. The queen's guards arrived, flanked by armored warriors. But they weren't here for celebration. They were here for judgment. "The other tribes have heard," the queen said, stepping forward in her gleaming armor. "They saw the sky burn red last night. They know the flame has returned, but they believe it should have awakened through their bloodlines, not ours." Jack frowned. "So they're jealous? They're afraid?" she said. "Because if the flame chose you, it means their claim is false. If their claim is false, their power ends." Jack looked back at the resting women. "Are they in danger?" The queen's jaw clenched. "You all are." The priestess interrupted. "There's something more. The scrolls. They say the flame bearer will not only awaken the marks, but will also heal the past, break curses, revive the dying." Jack raised an eyebrow. "What does that mean?" One of the alien females from the night before stepped outside, her body glowing faintly, but this time her eyes had turned golden. She wasn't royalty. She wasn't a warrior. She was a healer. She fell to her knees, overwhelmed. I was born blind in one eye, since childhood. But after touching him," she looked at Jack, "I see everything now, even colors I never knew existed." The queen gasped. More bonded females. Emerged one who had been mute, spoke for the first time. Another who had chronic shaking could. "Stand still and straight." Jack backed away. "I didn't do this." The priestess placed her hand on his chest. "The flame did. Through you." Suddenly, the sky above shimmered again. But this time it wasn't red or gold. It turned deep black. Shadow moved through the clouds. The queen's eyes widened. "The other tribes come. They bring their gods." Jack turned. "Gods," the priestess whispered. "False ones." Far in the distance, giant floating ships shaped like jagged thrones began descending. Their symbols were unfamiliar to Jack, but the fear in the tribe's eyes was clear. "These tribes," the queen said coldly, "are led by males who claim dominance over females. They say the flame is theirs. If they see what happened here, They'll destroy us to erase it. Jack looked at the crowd gathering. His bonded mates huddled close to him. Some were ready to fight, others to flee. But all looked to him, not as a human, not as an outsider. As the flame-bearer, Jack clenched his fists. If they want to erase this truth, they'll have to go through me. The queen nodded slowly. Then prepare yourself, consort. Jack glanced at his bonded. Their marks still glowed with silent power. He whispered, "No, not just consort. I'm something more now." Turned to the priestess. "Tell me, what does the final part of the prophecy say?" She slowly opened a faded scroll. Her eyes moved across the ancient script. In the time of despair, when all lights fade, the true flame will burn brightest. The one who holds it shall no longer be human, but something beyond. Jack looked out at the enemy ships in the sky. He felt the fire in his chest begin to pulse. And for the first time, he stepped forward not as a visitor, but as a leader. Jack Carter once believed he was nobody, just a man with a wrench, fixing water lines on strange planets, eating canned noodles alone. But now, he stood on a crystal tower with fire burning inside his chest and hundreds of alien eyes watching. The sky had turned black. Enemy ships, shaped like metal beasts, hovered above the valley. Their loudspeakers echoed across the jungle. Surrender the false flame-bearer. Deny the bond. Submit. The queen stood beside Jack, silent but tense. The priestess held her scroll tightly, and the females, his bonded, lined up behind him, their glowing spiral marks visible for all to see. The queen whispered, "If you run, we might survive. If you stay, you might burn." Jack stepped forward. "No," he said quietly. "If I run, everything we shared becomes a lie." He looked at his bonded mates, warriors, scientists, priestesses, healers. Each one had given him their trust, their hope, their hearts. He wasn't just their mate now. He was their protector. He raised his hand. The flame mark on his chest ignited this time, not just glowing, but burning with golden fire. It spread across his arms, into his veins, and out from his skin like living energy. The queen stumbled back. The prophecy, it's fully awakened. The priestess fell to her knees. He's no longer human. And Jack felt it too. He didn't feel pain. He felt power, ancient, deep, gentle but unbreakable. Suddenly, the sky crackled. The enemy ships opened. Fire blasts of plasma surged toward the temple. But before impact, Jack lifted one arm and the flames burst out of him like a wall of light. The blasts dissolved in midair. The enemy ships froze. The tribe gasped. Then, the jungle responded. Trees shimmered. Rivers glowed. Flame marks appeared. On more people even, those who had not touched Jack. The flame was no longer limited. It had awakened the land itself. Jack's voice echoed, not loud but strong. "You called me false, but I did not take this power. It came to me, because I chose to protect." Look to the sky. "You enslave your females? I honor mine, and that is why you fear me." The enemy fleet fired again, but this time the bonded females stepped forward, one by one raising their hands. Their flame marks blazed like stars together. With Jack at the center, they unleashed a wave of energy, not destruction, but truth. Ships were knocked back, not by violence, but by the unbearable pressure of hope they could not understand. One ship exploded. Another fled. The rest backed off. The jungle cheered. The alien tribe, once divided by class, blood, broken tradition, now stood united around one human man and the bonds he had made with their strongest, the weakest, outcast, and royalty. Jack turned to the queen. She lowered her head. "You have fulfilled more than prophecy, flame-bearer. You have rewritten it." The princess stepped forward and took his hand. Her eyes glowed, and all around them, the bonded began to chant. Tribal father, tribal flame, tribal future. Jack swallowed hard. "I don't know how to lead a tribe." The queen smiled. "You already have." He looked down at the flame mark on his chest. It no longer pulsed wildly, it burned steady. It's like a heart. He stepped down from the tower and walked among his people. The children touched his hands. The warriors saluted him. The females smiled, some with longing, some with pride, some with gentle gratitude. He was no longer the human. He was the father of a new age. He didn't need a throne. He didn't need armor. He had what no other male had earned in centuries: their love, their fire, and their future. And as night fell over Varela 6 again, with stars now soft and peaceful overhead, Jack Carter sat beside the Queen's daughter and his bonded mates, their heads resting on his shoulders, laughter rising from the camp below. He whispered only one thing: "I came here by accident, but I'm never leaving."